So I believe that SpaceX, arguably the most innovative company in the world, will put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And you have an opportunity right now to front run this news before it actually gets announced. In fact, I believe many organizations, including SpaceX and possibly even Tesla, will announce that they bought Bitcoin on their balance sheets within the next 6 to 12 months, and that's going to send the price of Bitcoin into orbit. At this stage, there's really no excuse as to why every investor shouldn't have an allocation. If you've been following along with this channel, you'll already know that. And if you've been following along with my investment decisions, then you'll be up over 400% within the last 6 months. And if you haven't, well, I'd say it's not too late. So why do I believe that SpaceX will buy Bitcoin and put it on their balance sheet? Well, to begin the story, I have to go all the way back to August of last year. But before I do that, I will ask you to please smash that like button. It really does help out the channel. Okay, so in August of 2020, a company called MicroStrategy purchased 21,500 Bitcoins for their balance sheet. Now, if you've been following this channel, you'll be very familiar with this company and this story, but let me just play it out for you again anyway. In September, MicroStrategy purchased another 16,000 Bitcoin. And in fact, since August, they've accumulated over 70,000 Bitcoin. This is a company on an absolute mission to buy as much Bitcoin as is humanly possible. The CEO of MicroStrategy is a man called Michael Saylor. And since the very first announcement in August, he's been doing the media roadshow. He's been on a ton of large financial podcasts, absolutely shilling Bitcoin to people, explaining his reason for purchasing Bitcoin, but also the reasons why everybody should have an allocation. And I must say, I find the man extremely convincing. His efforts have been extremely successful. While we cannot isolate the Michael Saylor effect from other factors, we can see that the price of Bitcoin has gone parabolic since Michael's involvement. We have seen many major investors and corporations turn from bears to staunch bulls in this time frame, and it's clearly reflected in the price. Now, one such CEO is Mr. Elon Musk himself. Elon has never publicly shilled Bitcoin, and in fact he's communicated many doubts about the project in the past. However, in December of 2020, Elon shared this meme, clearly trying to represent the fact that he's getting inundated by people asking him questions about Bitcoin and telling him that Tesla and SpaceX should really invest. All the while Elon's just trying to get on with his life and manage his companies. Now, in response to this tweet, Michael Saylor tweeted, and he said, if you want to do your shareholders a 100 billion favour, convert the Tesla balance sheet from USD to BTC. Other firms on the S&P 500 would follow your lead, and in time it will grow to become a $1 trillion favour. Elon replied asking if such large transactions are even possible. And Michael Saylor said, yes, I have purchased over 1.3 billion in Bitcoin in the past months and will be happy to share my playbook with you offline from one rocket scientist to another. Now, we don't actually know what conspired from this conversation. Did Elon reach out to Michael and did they have an offline conversation? We don't know, but I suspect they might have. And while Michael's never alluded to it in conversation, he has dropped a couple of hints. Now, knowing Michael, he could have been doing that just to keep the markets on his toes, but we don't know. Either way, fast forward to last Friday, when we were in the midst of all the GameStop drama. Elon Musk changed his Twitter bio handle to #Bitcoin and then tweeted saying that in retrospect it was inevitable. And of course here he was talking about Bitcoin. Now, the price of Bitcoin that morning absolutely skyrocketed, shooting all the way from just over 32,000 US dollars to 38,250 US dollars. And this will forever be known as the Elon pump. If you had been sitting watching your Twitter that morning and were fast enough to put a trade on this, you would have done extremely well. So fast forward then to just yesterday, which was the 3rd of February, and Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy held a virtual event for CEOs and industry-wide treasuries to essentially explain why they needed to own Bitcoin on their balance sheet and to share their complete playbook for how they did it. Michael brought together some of the best voices in the industry to personally shill Bitcoin to these high-profile executives. In the opening minutes, we heard from the CEO of Stoneridge, called Ross Stevens, and Ross made the most compelling case for Bitcoin I have ever seen. My face was melting just thinking about all the CEOs and treasuries in the audience and how much Bitcoin they were going to buy over the next 6 to 12 months. Now, while there was lots of high-profile individuals watching this event, Apparently, the senior director of treasury for SpaceX, a Mr. Richard Lee, was also on the conference. Now look, I don't know how true this is or not. I suspect it is true, but somebody could have photoshopped this, so there's an element of speculation involved. But to me it makes sense why Richard Lee would be watching this event. Now let me just play you a short clip of Ross speaking so you get a feel for what Richard would have been listening to.
The new Fed mandate is not price stability, it's not full employment. The new Fed mandate, again, through his actions, not his words, is let's decouple risk-taking from the consequences of risk-taking. The new Fed mandate is let's finally once and for all institutionalize moral hazard. So to foam the runway for this new mandate, what does he do? Jerome goes out and he starts buying securities at a scale the world has never seen or imagined was possible. He starts buying about a day's worth of US GDP, a day's work. So I want to put that in human terms. All the work, all 350 million of us do. We wake up in the morning, we get our kids to school, we go to work. All of the work of all of us. I picture Jerome kind of getting to his desk, gets the keyboard out, and just like Control P click. All Americans, collective daily labor, he just prints. Now, as I said, I don't question central bankers are well-intentioned. I strongly believe they are. But humans are not supposed to have that kind of power over other humans. In the same way that a stock certificate is titled to company capital, money is titled to human time, Michael. I mean, people sacrifice their time for money, which enables us to trade our time for the time sacrifices of others. That's how it's supposed to work. So a tool that can command human time, the central bank keyboard, Control P, that keyboard steals time. And it steals time from some, particularly and most powerfully the non-asset owners, the most vulnerable. And it redistributes that time to others, most notably the existing asset owners. It adds rocket fuel to wealth inequality, and it leaves the fidelity of the signal content of prices just in tatters.
Now, Ross is a fantastic speaker, I'm sure you'll agree, and I'd highly recommend that you watch the rest of Ross's speech. You can find it on YouTube. It's absolutely fascinating, and he just makes such an amazing, compelling case for why everybody should have an allocation in this asset. It's just mind-bending. But let's get back to SpaceX. Now, we know that Elon is on a mission to make humanity multiplanetary. He obviously understands the need for a monetary system that can transfer value across time and space. He also understands the need for SpaceX to preserve their value so that they can carry out their mission sometime in the future. Just like all companies, but even more so for SpaceX, they can't afford to just sit on their fiat reserves and watch it get inflated away. Elon also sees the effect that purchasing Bitcoin for MicroStrategy has had on not just their stock price, but their treasury reserve assets in general. The growth rates that they've seen are absolutely staggering. Elon also knows the effect that an announcement by SpaceX or Tesla saying that they bought Bitcoin would have on the price. I mean, just look at what one tweet from Elon did, where he didn't even say that he purchased any or not. He just showed some level of support. Can you imagine what would happen if Tesla or SpaceX came out and actually said they purchased Bitcoin and put it on their balance sheet? I think it would be absolutely insane. And for this reason, I think Michael Saylor is dead right. It would be such an amazing thing for Tesla or SpaceX shareholders, and it would create so much value that it's simply too good not to do. To me, the writing's on the wall, and I actually believe that Elon would have sent Richard to this conference with a mission to learn how MicroStrategy went about buying the Bitcoin and how they went about storing it and how they go about managing it from a financial perspective. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before SpaceX or Tesla announce that they purchase Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And when that happens, I'll be really thankful that I had my Bitcoin position ahead of time. But look, regardless of what SpaceX do, the bigger picture has never been so obvious. We're clearly on the cusp of widespread institutional adoption. Looking back in hindsight, this is going to be so obvious that you're going to feel like an idiot for not capitalizing on it and not seizing the opportunity. So let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm right on this one. Will SpaceX or Tesla buy Bitcoin for their balance sheets? Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.